From Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
Tonight on News Hour, Appeal Court reinstates Adamawa Taraba APC governorship candidate. Rivers APC governorship candidate Tonye disqualified over dual citizenship. National Bureau of Statistics says Nigeria's gross domestic product records 2.25% growth in last quarter. And away from Nigeria, fear heightens in Malawi over increasing cholera cases as rainy season approaches. Hello and welcome to the News Hour on Trust Television. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thank you for joining. And now the news in details. Court of Appeal in Yola has voided nullification of the Adamawa APC governorship primary that produced Senator Aishatu Binani as the candidate. A federal high court in Yola, presided over by Justice Abdulaziz Anka, had on October 14 held that the APC has no governorship candidate for the 2023 election in Adamawa State. Salis Lawan has more.
The unanimous decision of the three-man panel, read by the late Justice Tani Hassan, set aside the judgment of the Federal High Court Yola, which sacked Binani and ordered the APC to resubmit Binani's name to the Independent National Electoral Commission as the governorship candidate. Justice Tani Hassan noted that the suit, which was filed by way of originating summon, came up to the Court of Appeal with 8 issues for determination, along with 2 questions. She therefore explained that 5 out of the 8 issues were dismissed, while the remaining 3 were resolved in favor of the appellant.
We appreciate our Lordship's wisdom for appreciating the issues raised by the appellant, Senator Aishatu Dahiru Ahmed, and we appreciate them for arriving at this decision. And we are hopeful that Senator Aishatu Dahiru Ahmed will be able to reap the benefit of her nominations for the All Progressive Congress.
And we greatly appreciate the Lordships. We say it was a great one, and we believe that such judgments would always place things in the proper perspective.
Some supporters of the party in Yola celebrated the victory.
I want to appeal to the other party to please sheathe their swords. Let's work for success. Meanwhile, Congress of Binani, and to show that we are all one, I wore this APC shirt deliberately. We are all APC. Let's unite and make Adamawa an APC state.
Of course, we feel elated. We feel elated, and we also feel proud that the popular saying that judiciary is the last hope of a common man actually is played out today at the Court of Appeal.
Former chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Nuhu Ribadu, dragged Binani before the Federal High Court Yola, claiming the primary election was marked by irregularities. Earlier, leadership of APC pressed the court to dismiss the suit instituted by Nuhu Ribadu and reinstate Binani, the bona fide winner of the party's governorship primary election. From Yola, Salis Lawan, Trust TV News.
In a similar vein, the Yola Division of the Court of Appeal has set aside judgment of the Federal High Court Jalingo, Taraba State, which nullified primary election that produced Senator Emmanuel Bwacha as the state's governorship candidate for the 2023 elections. The court, in its ruling on Thursday, affirmed the nomination of Bwacha as Taraba APC governorship candidate. On November 15, a federal high court in Abuja ordered the APC to conduct fresh primary in Taraba State within 14 days. The primary election was contested by 2 of the governorship aspirants, David Sabo Kente and Senator Abubakar Yusuf, who alleged irregularities in the exercise. Counsel for Emmanuel Bwacha speaks on the matter.
And of course, the governorship candidate of the APC, Senator Emmanuel Bwacha, we salute the courage of my laws for doing justice in this appeal. Now, the appeal having been succeeded, the two appeals, that is the appeal of the APC and, of course, the appeal of the candidate, and that is Senator Emmanuel Obocha, having succeeded, the issue has been raised to rest. Now, the APC and, of course, our candidates can go on and continue with their campaign. And we thank God, we give God the glory, and also thank God that the industry and the scholarship of our team leader, FK Depefo ASM, has not been in vain. And we give God the glory. Thank you all.
In the meantime, Boacha's campaign office in Jalingo said that the victory at the Court of Appeal in Yola is a special gift from God to the people of Taraba State, appealing to them to brace up for the general election.
In a message to the council, our candidate, Senator Emmanuel Obocha, congratulated the entire people of the state for this landmark victory. He said the court victory was a special gift from God for the long-suffering people of Taraba State, and appealed to them to brace up for the struggle ahead. That is the campaigns and the elections that will follow this incident. Senator Obocha promised to take his campaign to all nooks and crannies of the state in order to directly engage with the people and acquaint himself with their problems. The distinguished senator also called on the supporters to be magnanimous in victory by conducting themselves peacefully. Now, the report we're hearing all over the state has erupted in celebration and happiness.
A federal high court sitting in Port Harcourt has disqualified the governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Patrick Tonye Cole, over dual citizenship and non-compliance to the Electoral Act by his party. The People's Democratic Party in Rivers State had approached the court to direct INEC not to recognize Patrick Tonye Cole as the governorship candidate of the APC.
The People's Democratic Party in Rivers State had approached the court to direct INEC not to recognize Patrick Tonye Cole as the governorship candidate of the APC. Justice Emmanuel Obili, in his judgment, agreed with the People's Democratic Party that Tonye Cole, who has dual citizenship, is not eligible to contest the governorship position, adding that the APC primary brought in Patrick Tonye Cole was not monitored by the Independent National Electoral Commission. Contrary to his decision on preliminary objection in a suit by APC against PDP and SIM that no court has the right to interfere in another party's affair, Justice Obili, in the judgment against APC, held that the court has jurisdiction to hear the matter and thereby direct INEC to delist the name of Patrick Tonye Cole from the electoral list for 2023 general elections. Reacting to the judgment via a telephone, one of the counsels to PDP, DK Odena, expressed happiness over the judgment, which he said means that APC has no governorship candidate for the 2023 general elections unless a high court says otherwise.
One reason is because the congresses where the delegates who voted for his emergence emerged from was not monitored by INEC. In its judgment today, the Federal High Court affirmed both grounds and on that basis has nullified the candidacy of Mr. Tonye Cole. So the implication of this judgment is that both the APC and its purported candidate are not eligible to participate. The court has invalidated their candidacy, held that they are not qualified to participate in the election, and has directed INEC to remove their names from the list of eligible candidates for the 2023 governorship election.
On his part, one of the counsels to APC, Collins Dike, expressed displeasure that the same court which disagreed with the APC that no court has the right to interfere in another party's affair on a section of the Constitution has turned around to say otherwise, just as he revealed that APC will appeal the judgment.
We're disappointed and we're sure to test this judgment at the Court of Appeal. I mean, for us, the position of the law is very clear. Our constitution is very clear that where a person is a citizen of Nigeria by birth and goes on to acquire the citizenship of any other country or pledges allegiance to any other country, he is qualified to contest elections. Tonye Cole acquired the citizenship of the United Kingdom. He stated so in his forms before INEC. But it is also clear that he is a citizen of Nigeria by birth. So the court read that very clearly from the Constitution and proceeded to disqualify him.
Meanwhile, the spokesperson of Tonye Cole Campaign Council, Shobeye Eli, in a joint briefing at the party secretariat, said the judgment is contrary to the Nigerian Constitution.
And let's make this point clear. Citizenship of Nigeria is defined in Section 25 of the Constitution. 26 and 27 define citizenship on the basis of naturalization and registration. Now, for those two sections, 26 and 27, under 28, you'll be caught up by that ruling on its due, because you're a Nigerian citizen by naturalization or by registration. When a citizen by birth is different. You are a Nigerian born as a Nigerian, whether of Nigerian parents outside the country or inside this country, you are exempted from that provision on its due.
Now, still on legal matters, Justice Inyang Eko of the Federal High Court, Abuja, has fixed December 1, 2022 for judgment on the 2023 governorship ticket of the People's Democratic Party in Ogun State. Justice Eko fixed the date after taking arguments from parties. At the center of the dispute are Jimmy Lawal and Oladipopu Adebutu, both governorship aspirants of the PDP, who have both laid claim to the ticket. Lawal, who contested the May 25 governorship primary of the PDP, had challenged the emergence of Adebutu, alleging that an unlawful and invalid delegates list was fraudulently used by the party to conduct the election. Lawal had therefore prayed that the purported primary of the May 25 be cancelled and another be conducted with the authentic ad hoc delegate. However, Justice Taiwo of the Federal High Court, in his judgment delivered on July 29, declined to hear the suit of Lawal on merit on the grounds that the primary was a domestic affair of any political party and dismissed the suit. The Supreme Court subsequently, on November 21, ordered the Federal High Court to hear on merit the suit instituted against PDP and Adebutu by Lawal. Justice Ibrahim Salawa of the Apex Court ordered speedy hearing into the suit after holding that the Federal High Court has jurisdiction to entertain the case. The appeal court in Abuja has upheld the conviction of Faisal, the son of Abdurrashid Maina, for conspiracy and money laundering. A three-member panel of the appeal, however, ruled on Thursday to reduce the term of imprisonment from 14 years to 7 years on the grounds that he is a first-time offender. Maina, the former chairman of the defunct Pension Reform Task Force team, is serving an 8-year jail term at the Kuje prison in Abuja for pension fraud to the tune of 2 billion naira, and his son has now been convicted as an accomplice. The judgment, read by Justice Ugochukwu Anthony Agaku, agreed with the ruling of Justice Okon Abang of the Federal High Court, Abuja, that convicted Faisal. Now, away from litigations, the police in Anambra State have warned politicians against the use of thugs to perpetrate violence in the run-up to the 2023 polls. Commissioner of Police Echeng stated this during a parade at the state headquarters in Awka, Anambra State capital. He said that the command is committed to ensuring the safety and security of lives and property that will be involved in the electoral process without bias.
We also want to advise that we are in the period of politics. The campaigns have started. Elections will be February next year. And we also advise all state political stakeholders, especially the politicians, to play according to the rules. It is our wish and also command to make sure that the process is concluded seamlessly without any hitch.
The National Agency for Food and Drugs Administration Control, NAFDAC, has destroyed chemicals used by ISWAP and other terrorist organizations to make improvised explosive devices. The item also includes substandard and fake food items and drugs worth over 400 million naira. Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibrin reports.
Set on fire is the large quantity of chemical the agency says it's used by ISWAP and Boko Haram terrorist organization in making high-impact improvised explosive devices, which were seized by the agency in some part of the northwest region.
We have some chemicals here, which actually was the cause of this inferno that we saw today. They are precursor chemicals that are used in manufacturing of bombs. These chemicals were picked by DSS, and in the spirit of collaboration with other sister agencies, they handed over these chemicals to NAFDAC, and part of these chemicals were the things that caused this fire today before we even started the business. You can imagine if this chemical had escaped into the society, the kind of havoc it will have done to our society.
With a street value of 485 million naira, the items also include 80 tons of falsely labeled medicines, unwholesome food products, among other counterfeit products seized across the 7 states of the northwest region of Nigeria.
The quality of the item we have discovered here is over 80 tons of different 80 of different spurious food, chemicals, and other regulated products. Amounting to almost 500 million. Okay. 400 something, but 485, but I use the word almost 500 million.
Meanwhile, the agency is asking Nigerians to be conscious of unregistered medicines and other related food items while reporting any suspicious consignment to the nearest security agency for appropriate action. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
The Office of the National Security Advisor, through the National Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons, has disclosed plans to destroy over 3,000 illicit small arms and light weapons, as well as other associated materials mopped up across the country. The seizures were made majorly through the various theaters of operation in the northwest, south-south, southeast, and north-central regions of the country within the past 18 months. Addressing journalists ahead of the destruction exercise in Kaduna, the National Coordinator, Major General Abba Muhammad Diko, retired, explained that the arms were handed over to the Center for Security Agencies who are currently in various theaters of operation. He said this is in furtherance of President Muhammadu Buhari's directive to tame the spate of insecurity in the country. He stressed that security challenges had become precarious due to the availability of unlicensed weapons in the hands of people, saying that the Commission is saddled with the responsibility of regulating the acquisition and use of light weapons in the country. Now, the Department of State Services has denied withdrawing any suit against the former terrorist negotiator, Tukur Mamu. It had earlier been reported that the secret police withdrew a suit filed at a Federal High Court, Abuja, to detain him for 60 more days after his arrest. But in an interview with Daily Trust, the spokesman of the DSS, Peter Afunaya, described the report as misleading. Afunaya maintained that the DSS has never withdrawn any case against Mamu, noting that the matter is a continuous process. On the next steps in Mamu's case, the DSS spokesman noted that the case is an ongoing case, saying that the service will follow laid down procedures and processes in line with the law of the land. You're watching the News Hour on Trust Television. Coming up shortly, we'll take a look at why hibiscus farmers are smiling to the banks. Details of this and more after the break.
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
My name is Femi Adebayo. This holiday season, StarTimes is taking us to a better level. You can step up your family entertainment with the StarTimes upgrade promo. You recharge 2 months on Nova Bouquet and get upgraded to Basic or Smart Bouquet. Recharge 2 months on Basic or Smart Bouquet, you get upgraded to Classic or Super Bouquet. And if you recharge 2 months on Classic or Super Bouquet, you get 10 days free on your subscription. This upgrade automatically qualifies you for a weekly draw to win 55-inch Smart TV, PA systems, home appliances, and more. These prizes are proudly sponsored by Longreach, Wayon, and Amaz. This promo is from the 15th November to 15th January 2023. Times and conditions apply. On StarTimes, every day is the best day ever. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. StarTimes. Entertain your family.
Thanks for staying. You're watching the News Hour on Trust Television. Here's a reminder of our top stories. Appeal Court reinstates Adamawa Taraba APC governorship candidate. Rivers APC governorship candidate Tonye disqualified over dual citizenship. Elsewhere, the campaign train of the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Tinubu, was in Ebonyi State as part of its campaigns ahead of the 2023 presidential election. The party's candidate, aside from attending the rally, inaugurated a series of projects from roads to estates, a flyover bridge, and even bagged a chieftaincy title. Bola Tinubu at the rally commended the Ebonyi State Governor, Dave Umahi, for his strides in infrastructure, describing him as one who is loved by his people.
Today, we have all of you. We have all of these great men, great names surrounding me to say, go ahead, become the president of Nigeria. We want a change. And we are closing the door to the darkness, both in spirit and reality. 16 years of PDP government, we have no blinker of electricity. They spend more than $60 billion. They forget that transmission line
The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, says he will set aside $10 billion to tackle youth unemployment in the country if elected president. Speaking at the flag-off of the PDP North Central campaign rally in Ilorin, Atiku said that the money will be used to establish Nigerian youth in micro, small and medium enterprises to empower them and make them gainfully employed for a decent living. The report.
Around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the open bus conveying the flag bearer and other party faithful entered the square amid shouts of Atiku and PDP rent in the air. The Director General of the Campaign Council, Aminu Tambuwal, described PDP as the only party that can rescue the country, while former Senate President Bukola Saraki thanked the people for realizing the truth after being deceived with lies and propaganda.
This is a clear message to the APC in Kwara State that Kwara is PDP and PDP is coming back to Kwara State and Nigeria. The train for the rescue for researching and rebuilding Nigeria is in Kwara today.
2019 has come and gone. We have all learned our lessons. There is still hunger in the town, is there not? Insecurity, is there not? They came with propaganda and lies. But we told you, the only man that can rescue and recover Nigeria is Atiku Abubakar.
The Kwara State governorship candidate of the party, Shoaib Yahman, laments the poor welfare of the people of Kwara State as a result of the rising debt profile of the state, while the national chairman of the party says PDP will be back to restore the good fortune of the country when voted into power.
Kwara State has never had it this bad. The mantle of leadership fell from a performing government to a government that does not know what to do to improve the people's welfare.
PDP has come back to rescue this country and put it back on the path of development for every family, for every young man, for every old person. We are a party for all.
The presidential candidate of PDP also echoes what he called the lies of the present government, both at the state and national levels. With the election of PDP, he promises to reconstruct bad roads and provide youth with jobs via a $10 billion dedicated fund for small-scale entrepreneurs across the country.
4 years ago, they came here and deceived you and told you lies. Now, this time, PDP has come to return Kwara to the mainstream of Nigerian politics.
The North Central rally of the party was well attended as leaders appreciated supporters for turning out en masse to register their support for the emergence of a new Nigeria.
Afenifere chieftain Ayo Adebanjo has joined Labour Party presidential campaign rally in Oyo, saying it is a turn of the Southeast to produce successor to President Muhammadu Buhari in 2023. Adebanjo said this in Ibadan at a solidarity rally in honor of Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi and his running mate Yusuf Datti Baba Ahmed. Party supporters across the southwest region converged on the Lekan Salami Stadium, Ibadan, in honor of the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, amidst fanfare. Ayo Adebanjo, who described the Labour Party presidential candidate as a detribalized Nigerian, also took a swipe at the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Those saying I am supporting a Southeasterner because I'm against Bola Tinubu are ignorant. When he was governor, I wasn't envious of him. When he was in Afenifere, I wasn't envious of him. I chased him out of Afenifere. The matter before us now is not about ethnicity, but about the progress of the Nigerian entity.
Today our country is going through numerous challenges. Insecurity, hunger, poverty, unemployment, name them. And these challenges is as a result of failed leadership. Failed leadership over the years. Failed leadership of PDP. Failed leadership of APC. And This opportunity that we have to make them this time, we must use it judiciously.
Now, Minister of Women Affairs Pauline Tallen says the incidences of gender-based violence in Nigeria as at November 22 this year had risen to over 11,000 cases, going by the information available on the National Situation Room and Data Dashboard. Speaking to newsmen at the State House in Abuja on Thursday, the Women Affairs Minister, however, said that only 33 persons had been convicted from these cases, which she described as unacceptable. Visibly excited at the appeal court ruling reinstating Senator Aisha Binani as the All Progressives Congress governorship candidate in Adamawa State, Tallen described the judgment as a victory for the Buhari administration. Ken Odu reports.
Cases of gender-based violence that have resulted in fatalities as many as 400,000 and are considered as closed cases, while cases that are still open are over 3,500. The slow pace of justice in the midst of several cases of rape and incest across the country is worrisome, and the minister notes that many of such cases were recorded during the COVID-19 pandemic. She is insistent that classifying such cases as mere family affairs is totally unacceptable.
I must say that it's unacceptable for us to regard or address gender-based violence as a family issue that should be settled within the family. It's unacceptable because a lot of women die in the process, and women are not beasts of burden that should be beaten, treated anyhow by a man, and the next thing is for them to ask her to forgive him. She goes back, and the same thing happens. That's why we give more attention to the education of the girl child.
Sadly, political parties, including the ruling All Progressives Congress, have not allowed women to occupy appointive and elective positions, which the minister says should be 50% of seats and not 35%.
It is heartbreaking. It's not that we don't have qualified women. We have very qualified, resilient Nigerian women in politics. But the society is yet to support and encourage women. And women, you know, there's a lot of violence in politics. Women can never engage in thuggery.
The minister is therefore excited that the only governorship candidate that emerged at the party primaries has now been reinstated by the courts.
Today is a day that we are going to celebrate. From here, we are all moving to the house. We will move to the streets and watch what will happen in Adamawa. We will lead the campaign. Adamawa women already are fully mobilized. They have said that if she is not given her mandate, they will not come out to contest or vote in any election.
Despite the drawbacks and issues of women in the country, there has been some progress made, including the National Sex Offenders Register and Referral, which is currently functional in Lagos, Kaduna, Anambra, and Ekiti states. And then there's the domestication of the Child Rights Act and the Violence Against People's Prohibition Act by 34 states of the Federation. An icing on the cake, she believes, would be the doubling of the number of women in the Federal Executive Council by the next administration. From State House, Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
The Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Professor Isa Pantami, has launched a digital project to help increase broadband penetration to improve market performance. Noel Samson reports that the project will lead to high-capacity transmission techniques using a wide range of frequencies, which can enable a large number of messages to be communicated simultaneously.
The term broadband is commonly referred to as high-speed internet access that is always up and faster than the traditional dial-up access. Broadband, which includes several high-speed transmission, will help improve the education sector and businesses, thereby revamping the nation's economy.
Today, all over the world, there is no way we can promote our education, and there is no way we can promote commercial activities without broadband. It's impossible. It is because of this the World Bank report of 2022 clearly stated that if we will be able to increase broadband penetration globally to around 75%, that will automatically catapult the global gross domestic product by a minimum of 2 trillion USD. During COVID-19 pandemic, there are many better and bitter lessons. The bitter lessons we have learned in the developed countries and other developing countries, even during COVID-19 with lockdown, their activities educationally continued. But in other developing countries, most of our institutions, from primary, secondary, to higher institutions of learning, were shut down. Why? Because of the challenge of connectivity, among others.
The FCT Minister Mohamed Musa Bello highlighted the importance of having a transformed digital drive as it applies to digital economy.
The improvement in broadband penetration and a lot of activity in the digital environment has really created the enabling environment for financial inclusion. And particularly also the tremendous expansion in personal identity of Nigerians during the last 2 years to a figure of almost over 90 million has definitely been a game changer.
Broadband facilitates delivery of e-government services and applications, providing authorities more opportunity to communicate with constituents. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Students of University of Maiduguri want the federal government to resolve all lingering disputes it has with the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU. This comes as the Borno State chapter of the union declares an inconclusive academic session for the semester in a bid to push the government to settle outstanding 8 months' salaries and complete half payment of October salaries. The report.
Various examinations will go on in the university, but the results will not be released, and those writing their final examinations will not graduate ultimately this session. This is because members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, are protesting non-payment of outstanding entitlements and half payment of salaries, and would therefore not be marking and recording students' grades this year. Some students feel sad on the development, expressing worry that their future is being threatened. They fear that it could lead to another strike, urging the government to act.
In this case, when they refuse to release our results, it still means that we are still in strike. We have nowhere to go. So definitely we are still in strike. So, and this thing is going to affect us more and more than before, because we have a lot of places that they have been waiting for us, looking for us in order to come and tender our result.
We felt the government would have been doing something tangible by now for us to have that future that they have planned for us. These are people we choose with our own hearts and our own minds. But today, it has turned back to a failure.
It's because of God I even came back, and because of my studies I even came back. If ASU should go on another strike, I think I'll just find something else doing, because the education system in Nigeria is collapsing, or maybe I'll travel out of the country.
We come to school, and even the lecturers that they once smile and talk to us, encourage us, are the ones saying that we should not think of coming to where they are today, because there's no hope and future plans for us anymore.
For most of these students, it will be a routine of attending lectures and reading, but the reality to graduate after school hangs in the balance.
Farmers in Katsina State are harvesting farm produce and smiling to the banks as prices appreciated when compared to previous harvest periods. Hibiscus farmers are particularly happy with bumper harvest and rising demands for the produce. Hibiscus, locally called Zobo, is being produced in commercial quantities for exports. Abdullahi Ahmadi visits popular Mashi Market, a local government area in Katsina State, where hibiscus farmers and merchants meet.
Hibiscus
is a major attraction to the Mashi market for customers from across the states in Nigeria and beyond. This season is like no other to hibiscus farmers, as its price is no match to any other farm produce in northern Nigeria. You see, one sack here costs between 28 and 30,000 naira. Russell's farmers have never had it so good like this season. Those who produced it abundantly are getting a lot of money. In fact, it's one of the best farm produce this year. Hibiscus or zobo is one product that knows no bounds, as it is consumed all over the world, as such attracting buyers from Nigeria, Niger, Cameroon, Burkina Faso, Mali, Senegal, and Chad, with dozens of people along the value chain. If you can reach out to the local communities where it is produced, you will see wonders. Both women and children processing it are getting better time. Everything in it, like the leaves and seeds, even its shrubs, is money. It is a wonderful plant. Our major concern now is security operatives who extort money from drivers bringing it out from local communities to markets, and those of us transporting it to various towns and cities. They extort and harass people even as it is a legitimate business. Hibiscus farming requires little or no fertilizers and very minimal effort to grow in large quantity in Katsina and many states in northern Nigeria. In some farming communities in Mashi and Mani local governments, women and children were spotted processing the product and begging for onward transportation to the markets. Experts say Russell's plant, which produces hibiscus, otherwise known as zobo, has a lot of nutritional values and health benefits to people.
Hibiscus flower is a green leafy vegetable, and it's a vegetable that contains the nutritional value, especially it contains antioxidant, and antioxidant is very important in the body because it fights, it repairs cells, and it's important for patients that are suffering in cancer, or it can prevent cancer because it prevents the wasting of cells and developing of the cells.
This may be the reason why people are calling on relevant stakeholders for training and retraining of farmers on mechanized farming and provision of improved seeds that gives minimum yield. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
We'll now take a short breather. The news hour continues after the break.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian state.
Welcome back. This is the News Hour on Trust Television. And now in business news, the National Bureau of Statistics has disclosed that Nigeria's gross domestic product grew by 2.25% year-on-year in the third quarter of 2022. The NBS, in a report released on Thursday, stated that oil production also dropped averagely to 1.2 million barrels per day, adding that the sector only contributed 4.2% to the economy during the period. This means that the economy is steadily relying on the non-oil sector, which contributed 94.34%. The report, which said that the GDP reduced from 4.03% in the third quarter of 2021, blamed the slow growth on recession and the challenging economic conditions that have hindered productive activities. It said that the nominal GDP growth rate in the third quarter of 2022 was higher relative to the 15.41% growth recorded in the third quarter of 2021 and higher compared to the 15.03% growth recorded in the preceding quarter. And oil production drops to 1.2 million barrels. Now, the need to drive financial inclusion through digital means to promote financial access has been emphasized. The Central Bank of Nigeria disclosed this at a conference with the theme Financial Inclusion for All, Scaling Innovative Digital Models in Abuja.
In order to meet its target of 95% financial inclusion by 2024, the federal government of Nigeria has released 5 strategic policy studies, namely the Nigeria Financial Services Maps, the revised National Financial Inclusion Strategy, the National Strategy for Leveraging Agent Networks for Women's Financial Inclusion, the National FinTech Strategy, and the Payment System Vision 2025. President Muhammadu Buhari, represented by the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mohammed Bello, unveiled the document.
The place of fundamental infrastructure like citizens' identity database and broadband internet is central to the attainment of digital economy strategy. And to that effect, over 90 million Nigerians have now been captured in the National Identity Database.
CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele, in his remarks, stated that Nigeria's financial exclusion situation was a result of infrastructure deficiencies.
The response to the global event in 2008 was not entirely responsible for the low access to finance for the underserved in Nigeria. Infrastructural deficits like low broadband penetration, lack of a functional national identity system, and high cost of delivering financial services through bank branches to the underserved contributed to Nigeria's financial exclusion situation. As of 2008, 52.2% of Nigerian adults were financially excluded. This implied that 1 out of every 2 adults had no access to financial services in Nigeria.
The Deputy Governor of the CBN, Aisha Ahmad, speaks on closing gaps in rural areas as well as youth and gender disparities in financial inclusion and access.
People in the urban areas are more likely to have electronic banking and all of those services. We're looking at people in the rural areas. What can we do to enhance their own financial experiences? We're looking at areas like the youth. Compared to the national average, the youth have, I think, an 11% gap. So not that the youth are not included, they are included, but there's a gap and we need to fulfill that gap. Lastly, we've had an 8% gender gap, which is that on the national average, women are sort of 8% less likely to, have financial services. And it's not just to be included in terms of payments and accounts. We need to get credits to MSMEs, and a lot of small businesses are run by women.
Financial inclusion is imperative to the economic development and stability of the nation. Chamun Dabeng, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And away from Nigeria, Malawi says it is in the grip of a cholera outbreak which has spread across the country, killing 292 people and infecting 9,447 since March, when the first case was reported. Most deaths from the disease, which is spread through contaminated water and food, are occurring in 4 districts bordering Lake Malawi and in Baltea, the country's second largest city. According to Health Minister Kumbize Chiponda, treatment camps, mostly makeshift tents, have been set up and cholera patients are arriving in droves, putting pressure on an already overwhelmed healthcare system, depleted of essential medicines and equipment. Chiponda said that most deaths occurred after patients only attended facilities for treatment late into the progression of the disease. The outbreak now has a mortality rate of 3.1%, up from 2% in March. Health workers fear that the worst is yet to come, as current cases were recorded before the onset of wet weather. Malaysia's long-time opposition leader Anwar Ibrahim was sworn in as the country's new prime minister on Thursday, ending days of uncertainty after divisive general elections produced a hung parliament. Anwar was sworn in by the country's monarch at the Royal Palace hours after the palace released a statement announcing the nomination. His appointment ended 5 days of unprecedented post-election crisis, but could usher in a new instability with his rival, former Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin, on Thursday challenging him to prove his majority in parliament. A general election on Saturday ended in an unprecedented hung parliament, with neither of the two main alliances, one led by Anwar and the other by Yassin, immediately able to secure enough seats in parliament to form a government. Anwar's appointment caps a 3-decade-long journey from heir apparent to a prisoner convicted of sodomy to longtime opposition leader. And now for sports updates, let's take a look at the package put together by Adeni Ajishafe.
Nigeria's under-18 and 20 handball male teams on Thursday continued their winning streak on day 3 of the IHF Trophy Tournament for Africa Zone 3 ongoing in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire. Under-18 team led by coach Emeka Namani did not score plenty of goals as they did on Wednesday when they defeated Liberia 79-15, but however defeated Benin Republic 39-14. The under-20 team led by coach Fidelis Obi also got a 38-23 win against rival Ghana in a match played just few hours after their under-18 compatriots. Nigeria will know their semi-final opponent in the 2 categories when all the 3 matches have been played. The winners in both categories will participate in the continental phase of the IHF Trophy Tournament. for Africa, which he held in Brazzaville, Congo, from December 12 to 18, 2022. And in football, Portugal kicked off their campaign with a thrilling victory over Ghana in the ongoing Qatar 2022 World Cup. Ronaldo scored the opening goal from the penalty spot after being tripped in the box by Ghana's defender, Mohamed Salisu, making Cristiano Ronaldo the first man to score at 5 FIFA World Cups. Ghana got an equalizer when Andre Ayew scored from close range from Mohamed Kudus' assist. Portugal responded with 2 goals in 2 minutes from Joao Felix, who converted a clip finish, and substitute Rafael Leao netting the 3rd seconds after coming on. Osman Boukari headed in a late consolation for Ghana to make it 3-2. In the first game of the day, Switzerland's Bril Embolo scored the only goal against Cameroon in the Hartford World Cup Group G opener. Embolo refused to celebrate when he scored shortly after halftime. The indomitable Lions were unlucky to lose after a superb display at the Al Janoub Stadium in Qatar. Meanwhile, the Uruguay-South Korea match ended in a stalemate in their World Cup opener in Group H despite plenty of attacking quality at the Education City Stadium. Their best fell to Hwang Gil-jo, who fired over the bar in the first half before Uruguay captain Diego Godin headed the corner against the post. Portugal now lead the group with 3 points ahead of Uruguay and South Korea. That's Sport News. I am Adeni Ajishafe.
And that wraps up the news hour for tonight. Remember that you can watch more via all our social media platforms, and also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thanks for watching.